Welcome to Ronathan Plays and Probes, where I bring you tabletop commentary with insights, analysis, and opinions. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. Alrighty, Ronathan here again, coming back to you live in the kitchen. You know, it's funny, I actually recorded this video twice, and for some reason as I was watching it going over in post-production, I realized I just wasn't having enough energy or enough good flow. Kind of sounded a little monotone, so apologies. This is my third attempt at this video, just to give you a little quick snippet behind how the sausage is made. But what I want to update you with is that this past Saturday, August 22nd, the Ministry of Dice presented a Dice Masters tournament at the UK Games Expo. That expo was done virtually, so we had a virtual Dice Masters tournament. It was fun. We had 27 participants. 5 rounds of Swiss that were 45-minute rounds in a best-of-3 match. So it was a lot of fun. We had some great competition, and we got to see how the new meta was going to shake out. So what I want to do in this video is I just want to discuss some of the cards that were used, just some of the statistics, and I want to go over the top 3 teams. So without further ado, let's get started. All team links will be below. Thank you, Ministry of Dice, for providing team links for every team and having it all set up, as well as some of the statistics that I was able to pull out from the data sheet that was presented. So bravo, you guys. Thanks for putting on the tournament. So let's dive in right into the stats, okay? The first thing I want to talk to you about is the most used ramp at the tournament. Now, when I talk about ramp, it's being able to increase the amount of dice that you're going to roll per turn, thin out your sidekicks from your use pile, let's say, or increase the amount of energy that you are allowed to spend. Okay. In this regard, we have the Collector from the new Infinity Gauntlet set. We had 13 teams that had it, which amounts to 48% of the teams out there. So you'll see me give you 2 numbers. I'll give you the total number of teams and the percentages of the teams that had it. The next one that we had was Clayface. 12 teams had Clayface, which amounts to 44%, followed by Atlas and Villainous Pack. They both had 8 each, which was 30% of the team. And let me stress the importance of you. When you're building your team, I think I'm going to go over a team building a team video later on just some of the components that you want to have in it. Ramp is important. I remember I went to one tournament and I was like, yeah, I got everything teched and ready to go, and I had no ramp in it, and my team just suffered. So ramp is always important. Make sure that you have ramp on your team. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the most control cards that were used. Okay, now when I say control, they are cards that prevent your opponent from doing things like being able to fill characters or attack with the characters, such as removing them from the attack zone during the attack step, or removing characters outright from the field zone, and also preventing abilities from either going off or doing damage. Note, Typhoid Mary was banned for this event since the UK did not have any access to the Infinity Gauntlet product. They just decided, hey, we can make proxy dice for everything else. So, but there was not a suitable proxy die for Typhoid Mary because she is a crossover character. And so what they just decided to do was just ban her outright, which would change maybe somehow how the teams look. However, though, it was interesting to play a tournament without Shriek being back in the meta. Okay, so first off, we have Trax, which was no surprise to me. In my preview video, I was just like, hey, these are 2 cards to watch out from Infinity Gauntlet that we're going to see in the tournament. So we had Drax at number 1, 12 teams, 44% of the field. Next, Static Field, basic action card, 11 teams at 41%, and Spider-Man, Public Menace, 9 teams at 33%. Also, too, to remove teams out of the field zone, especially for removing those nasty Godcatcher tokens that make them disappear, was Gazer, 6 teams at 22%. Alrighty, the next I want to talk to you about is the most used, or the next statistic I want to throw out to you, is the most complementary or support cards. Now, what I mean by this is these are cards that either help you enable you to get to your win con via discounting your key pieces, or end up with certain bag stacking or management or we have cards that are used in conjunction with your win con. Like, for example, we have Under Surveillance. It's the Godcatcher token that just deals 10 damage. So how are you going to sink that 10 damage through when they have a whole field zone full of people? Well, you're going to use that Godcatcher. You're going to use that Under Surveillance. The next one I want to throw out to you. Also, too, 8 teams ran it at 30%, which is interesting because another 8 teams ran Villainous Pact, which actually is not only good for ramp, but since there are not a lot of villains in this meta, it's actually a win con if you can actually secondary win con if you can buy it ahead of your opponent. So like I said, don't sleep on Villainous Pact. It got me once in the tournament and I'm real frustrated that I didn't see it before my opponent and I was able to use it. So the next one was Eddie Guerrero. So this part, especially when you're attacking with your dice, so 7 teams ran it, that's 26% of the field. When you're able to attack with all your characters and they have static field which can push back your characters, for you just to be able to remove that energy and your opponent from using it while you attack for your game win con is huge. So Eddie Guerrero was next, followed by Asuka. Now we get into the 2 cards that are used to discount or help with bag stacking, and we saw Asuka, which gives our mass teams discount. Also, too, don't sleep on the fact that when you field mass characters, you know, she gets +1 each time you field her, so she's also kind of a secondary win con if you can stack her right. So we had 6 teams that ran her at 22%, and then finally Yawning Portal, which I ran on my team, the Comfortable Inn, which 5 teams ran it at 19%, which that allows you to discount your characters, but more importantly, especially with my rush mechanic that I had on my team, you were able to stack your bag as you want it and have your next turn loaded up for exactly what you're going for. And then finally, the last statistic I want to throw out to you is the most used win cons, okay? So out of all 27 participants, well, number 1, no surprise here, was the Godcatcher. A third of the field had it, 33%, 9 teams. Followed by Thor, this new super rare Thor, which was interesting in my preview video. I was like, hey, how big is this going to be? And it turned out it was actually bigger than Becky. 7 teams ran it at 26%. And then finally, Becky Lynch, made in Ireland, 5 at 19%. I also threw up Angela and Green Lantern here. There were 3 teams that ran it each for a total of 6 teams that had this win con, so 22% of the field had it. So it was nice to see that, hey, 6 teams brought it, including myself, to get this win con out. So I knew the top 3 win cons were going to be Godcatcher, Thor, and Becky Lynch. But it's also nice to see that, along with we had another team ran Iceman. And it was also nice to see that, hey, the top 8, we actually had three teams in the top 8 that didn't run any of these 3, in which we'll go over the 3rd place team later that finished without this. But my team, sadly, I didn't win the tournament. I finished in 6th, and I ran my win con with Angela, Gamora, and Jubilee. So that was my win con that didn't have... I did have a Becky Lynch on my team, but not that Becky Lynch, because I was trying to see if I could do without Becky Lynch. Maybe that was like hubris or like Icarus flying too close to the sun, where I should have just, hey, if I'm going to go that way, I should just put it on. So, but it was also nice to see Peter's team that he's been working on, his Iceman Super Rare Turk team, which he finished 7th. So now that I've gone over the statistics, I want to go over the top 3 teams. Okay, so, and like I said, I had a blast in this tournament. I finished in 6th. I was on the cusp of 3rd, and I lost my last game to Ben Said Scott. My first time playing against him, and he snuck a few right past me. So also lost to Shadow Mail, which we'll go over him. He finished in 2nd. But yeah, when you're on the cusp of victory, you know, you just feel like, I could have done more. But it was nice to see all these teams that were able to push each other to the limit. Especially, we go to our 3rd place team. We have the Joe Vega finishing at 4-1. His only one loss came against me, and that's only because I barely squeaked out a victory. I mean, that could have gone either way. I got lucky that time had expired on my turn, so I had the last go round. So that's the only reason that I got that victory, but it could have gone either way. It was a heck of a match, and he was running his Asuka team, but no Lantern Ring on that team. Instead, he was running Poison Ivy, not Red, Criminally Because of Love. And man, was that team to face. Not only because of, hey, you know, whenever he's going to field her, he's going to deal 3 damage to all your character dice and 3 damage to you if he KOs a level 3 character. But he also had the Rare Black Widow Energize ability. And when he can get that Energize ability to go off, and in one turn he got it to go off twice with hitting 2 dice, where he can just spin your characters down, as well as, you know, remove your level 1 characters from the field zone. And, you know, that's just one way to thin it out. And if he timed it right, he has the Collector on his team, which he actually bought the Collector so he could field it, bring over a character from his use pile into the field, KO it, and have it ready for the next turn. Man, if he could have lined up a Poison Ivy on me for that one, or his Rock, which would double intimidate me, that would have been curtains for me. But it was a great game. Nice to see that, hey, like really kind of like an off-meta team with not one of the primary win cons finish in the top 3. So it was well piloted, well executed, and so bravo to the Joho on that one. In second place, we have Shadow Mailed, who finished 4-1-0. And man, I had to face him in the 4th round, and it was just like, hey, whoever wins this game is going to get into the finals. And man, did he pummel me on my team. He made me pay for a purchasing mistake on my team, turn 1. And like he said, if you read the Ministry of Dice blog that he did on his report, you could actually see that, oh yeah, he was right. That I was basically my bad turn 1 purchase just put me 1 turn right behind him. And he was exactly right, because I was lining up my win con and it was just too late. But let's go over his team. He ran a super rare Thor / Godcatcher. And so depending on his team, he can pivot between either win con and wreck you with either getting Atlantis and Godcatcher to go off, so he can just cycle. He only brought 2 Godcatchers, but having that Atlantis in there is huge, because if your Godcatcher doesn't go off, he can just recycle and bring it back the next turn. So he can line it up that way, or what he pulled on me was the combination of, hey, he wants to get his super rare Thor out, so he's going to buy that 2-cost Zola, who has an attack of 2 on his level 1-2 side and level 3 side, and where he can just Supreme Intelligence over that 2 cost and just constantly just keep buying those Zolas, having him in his field, feeling those characters, and either choosing to deal that damage to me, or he can try to knock out my field and do 2 damage to my characters with Thor's fielding ability. Eventually he was able to clear out my whole field, attack with everything, and then all of a sudden you got 3 Zolas coming at you that either have 2 or 3 attack, and then they start to add up with everything else, along with Thor's minimum attack of 5 on his level 1 side. Can be pretty crushing, and he took me out. So hats off to Shadow Mailed for finishing in second. He piloted his team very well and brewed and crafted it as well too, so hats off. And then at first we have General Nemesis. Now, I didn't come across General Nemesis at all. General Nemesis finished 4-0-1. And looking at his team, it's just a straight up Thor team that is all about getting to Thor fast. How so? He has the combination of the 2-cost Kree Captain and Clayface, plus the Intellect Devourer, which I did not, like I said, get to see. But I imagine it goes something like this. Turn 1, field a sidekick. Buy a Kree Captain. Whatever he can do with that spare energy. Let's say he doesn't get that sidekick on that first turn. If it happens to be a mask, guess what? During his opponent's turn, he can just use his Collector and then field that sidekick. And so that way he has 1 sidekick and he has a Kree Captain in his use pile. 2. Turn 2. He hopes to roll all 4 that are energy. Okay, so that's what he wants on his turn 2. Get all 4 energy out. What does he want on that energy? He just wants 1 mask, 1 bolt, and 1 fist. And then hopefully the 4th is just some other type of random energy. Why? Well, the first thing he would do is probably Clayface in that Kree Captain into a double fist. Then he is going to use that Kree Captain Global to pay a fist, and then pay the Bolt and the spare energy for that that Thor, which would just now cost him 3. So boom, he's now got his Thor in his use pile. Well, what is he going to do with that spare fist? Or if he needs another fist, well, he has that intellect devour and he has that sidekick, so he can just spin that sidekick down, put it to a question mark or a fist, Atlas that over, and then boom, he's got a turn 3 Thor ready to go. And it's just, hey, he gets 2 chances to roll it on that turn, which is a solid plan. And I imagine that's what he did. He basically was just trying to get to Thor by turn 3, and then just little by little wheeled it down, and having that collector there just to field a sidekick on each turn, I imagine was huge. And then just probably kept attacking with him just to recycle and just do damage little by little. So hats off to all the teams that were there. Thank you for listening to me talking about what was happening. It's nice to see these big tournaments. Supposedly the Canadian Nats, there's going to be an announcement on that, and so I will end up seeing you there. And then in my next video, I'm actually going to do a deck tech of my little Rush team that I put together to show you how it works, and let you know how that was made and see what you can do. See if you can break Rush, see how you can make it even better, and we'll go from there. So have a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Bye. Thanks once again to Chris and Andy from the Ministry of Dice. I had a blast. Thank you for putting it together. Thank you for organizing it, as well as judging and putting all the behind the scenes work to making it happen. We really appreciate the prize structure and everything that you do for the community. So once again, from here in the States, we just want to thank our Dice Masters brothers in England for a wonderful tournament, and let's keep rolling those dice.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.